This doesn't make any sense.
Injuries and no signs of water intake.
I thought I nearly drowned.
Nicole McIntosh, blood alcohol level 0.30, also found in her system were Ambien, Xanax. Husband said she was mumbling a family prayer over and over. I'll wait for you at Wallace Lake?
Why would you have said Wallace Lake?
I wouldn't have.
Why would he say it?
Yes, I told him. I told your dad about the Wallace Lake prayer. That was me. We were speaking a lot at that time.
What does that mean?
It means that he lied. He lied.
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
Today, we are covering Prime Video's new show, The Better Sisters, Season 1, Episodes 6 and 7, titled Steadying Hand and Back from Red. Please note this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't finished the episodes yet and don't want to be spoiled, just come back and check us out after you've finished watching. And as we mentioned, all the episodes have aired, and this is our last time covering 2 episodes a week. Next week, we will be able to finally know the end of the story. So episode 6 was written by Olivia Milch and directed by Don Wilkinson, and episode 7 was written by Regina Corrado and directed by Stephanie Lang. How about telling us what the synopsis for these are, Mandy?
I like how all of the writers and directors for both episodes were women.
Yes, I think it shows too in a lot of the dialogue and complexity.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, episode 6. The sisters take the stand, but what truth will they tell? Meanwhile, Guidry's temper flares. Episode 7. Adam's darkest secret finally comes out, and it changes everything for Chloe and Nikki. Guidry and Bowen go back to basics.
So I'm a big yay on this episode, and all I'm going to say is that I couldn't have been more wrong about 90% of my theories, and Mandy couldn't have been more right about her theories. So
I'm sorry, can you just say that
no,
one more time?
I will not say it one more time.
Oh, I will be. It's fine. I will be.
Yeah, so lot to talk about. There's so much happened in these 2 episodes. There's going to be a lot to unpack. So
I think everybody out there needs to really make sure that you are giving me and Becky huge pats on the back for our professionalism. One, the fact that we haven't watched to the end of this is just, I'm really impressed with us. I don't know that we could have done it if it were longer. Like if it was more than 8 episodes, I really think we would have hit a breaking point if we weren't doing this so quickly. But 2, the fact that I didn't call you, like I know I texted and was like, "Oh, girl," but the fact that I haven't called you all week to just be singing the "I was right, you were wrong" song.
mm-hmm.
And anybody out there feeling bad for Becky, go back and listen 2 episodes ago. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I learned a valuable lesson with this podcast on the show is basically to shut the fuck up and wait till the end before you gloat. But I was right about, I am happy to say I did get like 2 things right in this whole thing. And we still have 1 episode to go.
Yeah. I could end up singing this song.
Yeah.
the I'm sorry intro in the next episode, because we do still have 1 episode to go. But thus far, it's looking real good for Team Mandy.
Yeah, it really is. You should have been a detective or a private investigator.
Well, I tell you, like, I think it's being crazy gives you certain types of crazy, because I'm not going to let you, it's not like you don't have your own version of crazy.
What?
I don't want to let that cat out of the bag for anybody that may not be aware. But Eric won't watch shows like this with me because I think I just have pattern recognition that makes shows like this kind of frustrating to sit and watch with me because about 20 minutes into a show be like, oh yeah, it was that guy, and he gets so mad whether I'm right or wrong. It just annoys the shit out of him that I'm constantly from the beginning going, yeah, that's it, that's who did it.
I don't hate it. I am impressed. It's very impressive. There are shows that I am able to really, I think with The Pit, I was able to see a lot of things, but this whole mystery thing, apparently, I'm not great at picking up on.
Well, I'm really feeling great about my predictions so far, but we still have an episode to go. So
That's true.
I really might. I know we've already said this, but I want to reiterate that because I don't want to be standing here next episode going, yeah, that was bragging. I was talking a whole lot of shit for somebody who ended up being so wrong. If I am correct, next episode of the podcast, I'll go through like where I think they made it pretty obvious.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
So we open up the episode with Adam going into the church, and I'm glad I was not his priest because I probably would have walked over there and punched him.
My note on that is I hate Adam, and so does this priest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he basically hates his kid, and his
Yeah.
kid is nothing that he wants him to be. He makes cracks about that he eats too much. He doesn't appreciate anything. Ethan has not turned out to be this cookie cutter version of him. And because of that, he is disappointed. And it's evident he's holding a lot of anger. But what really got me is when the priest asked him, "What's your confession?" And he
Yeah.
confessed nothing. He went back to talking about how
Yeah.
shitty he thinks his kid is.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Catholicism for just a second here. It's to go in to confess that you did something wrong and to ask for absolution. It's not to go in and use the priest as your therapist.
And they tell you that when you
Yes.
enter the Catholic faith.
Yes. And that priest very quickly, you could tell, was clocking that Adam was an incredibly narcissistic, angry man who did not see his problem in any of this.
No, he was innocent. Everything that was happening to him
He
with
was a victim.
Chloe, yes, he has hardcore victim mentality.
The priest very obviously, like when he said at the end, "You're absolved," and he's like, "For what?" And the priest is like,
Just pick something, dude.
Yeah.
Everything you say and do is horrible. So
Yeah.
it's like a blanket
right.
absolution. Get out of
Right.
here.
Yeah, I loved that scene. I
was
wanted to make sure.
great.
Yeah, that was very powerful. Maybe because we're Catholic, I don't know, but I just thought that that was a subtle way of showing how incredibly self-involved and how deeply angry Adam was, and just how much he did not have the capacity to love anyone, really.
Yeah.
If you can't love your own child, who can you love?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I hate Adam.
Hashtag fuck Adam.
Oh, I also put Adam definitely voted for Trump.
Oh, God.
You can cut that out if you want.
No, I like it.
Yeah, it was the way that he was blaming when he was just sitting there ranting about how that he ate too much, but oddly never wanted anything nourishing. Like, it's just like, man, I just feel like Trump's had the same conversation about Eric and Don Jr.
Oh, God. I can't even. That's another. So we have a menopause podcast we need to do, and we need to have, I'd like to call it Conversations with Trump about his kids.
I'd like him better if he was just a ranting old man complaining about his disappointing children.
Sitting on his porch yelling at the kids to get off his lawn.
It's pretty much what he's doing with our presidency.
True story. True story.
Oh, anyway.
Back to the show. So we get to the trial, and we're basically, that portion is done for the day or for a minute. And Nikki and Chloe, they get in a fight.
Mhm.
And Guidry ends up in the middle of it. Just give me a bonus episode where Nikki and Gidry team up and fight crime.
Yeah, they get each other.
Yeah, she's, how's the face?
That
And
cracked me up.
it's like, it's gonna swell. And then Gidry's trying to, I mean, she's a cop. She's always got everything she does and says is there's an angle to it. But she starts talking about her kids and how, she's trying to relate to Nikki with the kids. And Nikki says, I don't give a fuck about your stupid kids. Charge me or shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we're not buddies.
Yeah. And then on the opposite side, Borat has Chloe trying to get some info out of him, and Michelle busts in and is like,
Chloe's so stupid.
She is. And I feel like Michelle just wants to bang her head against the wall.
Me too.
There's a line in her final scene at the end of next episode that I made sure to document because I feel like it's just what goes on in her head all day.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. You know what I realized, or I thought I had this week, is that Gidry and Nikki are kind of one version of Chloe and Catherine. Chloe and Catherine kind of vibe off of each other, and they have like very similar mindsets that they kind of enjoy the opulence and the glamour and the artificiality of their world. And Gidry and Nikki are very like more cynical, realer in some ways, just more willing to admit that they've made mistakes and that they have regrets.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't really explain it, but I just feel like they have a very similar, but obviously very different, more antagonistic relationship.
For sure. So we get back to the house and Michelle is just laying it out. We're in trouble. We have got to find a way to introduce another suspect. And it tells Nikki, your part is to remind everyone that you were the mess. And poor Nikki, she's like, right, yeah, I almost killed the kid. Adam was a great dad.
Yeah.
Hated that for her.
Yeah, which we find out at the end of the next episode, like there was some sarcasm there. But first of all, I want to shout out that when she said, can you do something useful like hire a man? Oh, Nikki, come on. Nikki, you're not being a girl's girl, Nikki.
No, not at all.
I didn't like that line, but it does kind of fit with her character. Also, though, there was a look that she gave in the middle of all of that freak out that was a very guilty look. So that's going to be on my list next week when we're going through it.
So then, we establish what Nikki's part has to be, and then they've got to figure out, Chloe is instructed to find anything she can on Adam, be it this gentry group or whatever, so that, she can add to.
Yeah, they're obviously trying to work out getting an angle that points away from
Ethan. And I love it when Chloe or Nikki said, yeah, shake your tail feather, go contact your secret contact and get out of there, whatever. Yeah. But what I found really cool, not cool, but very profound in this moment, which nods to, I think, women writers, and I would very much like to know any of these writers are of different ethnicity, because they really nail this scene where Michelle mentions the plea bargain and that, this might be the way they have to go. And Nikki makes that comment about, not my kid. And Michelle snaps and she's like, do you know how many people I have, even in my own family, that are sitting in jail when they're not supposed to be there? She's like, basically just shut up.
Alifair S. Burke, the lady who wrote the novel, is a crime novelist and a professor of law. She's a legal commentator, and she's written several best-selling novels. So, yeah, I think that it definitely shows that you have not just a lot of women involved in this, but women who are making sure that they are pointing out in this milieu of the legal system where these two women who are the protagonists are deeply privileged. Even Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki, very much, I think we talked about in the last episode, one of the things this show does is that no one is a saint and no one is all bad. And, even though I tend to really identify a lot with Nikki and her brokenness and everything that she's been through and her trauma, Nikki's kind of a bigot, and she's definitely got a blind spot for her white privilege. And
Yeah.
God knows Chloe does.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They're learning, though. I really slow, it's
Yeah.
very tiny hints, but their eyes are slowly being open to the realities of the world.
Yeah, like when you pointed out that there probably are like a lot of women of color that are involved in this process, I think that's one of the things that they're doing a really good job of is that they're not all villainizing those women for their blind spots and what they're doing. Like that's why, diversity is such a scary thing for some people out there. They're terrified of this idea that acknowledging things like white privilege means that white people have no problems or that people who, believe in white privilege are racist against white people. And it's not true.
Right.
And it's not a threat to white people to just acknowledge that the reality is in this society, we do have certain inherent privileges that other people do not have and they don't have to face. So I love that they're doing that. I think that's great.
Yeah. So we move on to Chloe playing her part, and she goes to the office to pick up Adam's things. And I got to be honest, I was on the edge of my seat for this whole thing because I wasn't so sure Chloe was going to make it out of there for a minute because Bill, I just,
Matthew Modine is creepy. He's Papa.
oh, he is Papa and he is playing it.
Yeah.
So I did note, I don't know, with this show, with podcasting, I've learned to really try to focus on not just the face or action of the main character, but the things that we see in the background. And she pauses to look at that photo of Ethan and Adam on the desk. And my thought was, after hearing his Winky Fingers confession, that picture was meant nothing to him. He literally is doing what that whole family does and keeps up appearances.
Yeah, what was the picture? Remind me again because I missed it when I was taking my notes rewatching, but I remember thinking that that particular picture was significant. Was it them on his birthday when he was a little boy?
No, it was older. It was current. It looked like it was could have been taken in the last year.
Okay.
So it was
Yeah.
very recent. And obviously, we know Adam can't stand that kid. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's just another prop. I feel like
Yeah.
Ethan, God bless him.
Was a prop.
Yeah. And it is a wonder he didn't genuinely kill his dad.
I think Ethan was a prop for both of them. I know that Chloe loved him more, but I think there was a lot of times that throughout that kid's life that Chloe saw him more like he was a far back burner to her ambitions and what she wanted to accomplish, and that he was a little bit of window dressing for her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a shame. I have a note on here though about Chloe going to the office that says Chloe is about as subtle as a fart in church. Like she's just going up in that office very visit like it just wasn't subtle at all.
No, but I liked it. Chloe throughout this whole thing, she's always presented this outward confidence. But I think throughout these last couple of episodes with learning or coming to terms with the reality of the situations as things slowly unravel, feel like she really starts gaining confidence. So her busting in there, being like, no, I'm good. I got it. And then even when Bill is in there and Bill knows what she's doing, she was nervous. I agree with you. She didn't hide her nervousness well. But when he said, I need to ask you to step away from the computer, I know the instinct, darling. Ugh. But you both led separate lives, and sometimes we dig and don't like what we find. He's so patronizing to her. You've got a lot on your plate, and too much more could break you. And so I liked that whole interaction on her side because it was genuine. She was nervous, but she was also like this confidence that, fuck you, Bill. I know you're shady. I finally see who you are.
Yeah, I think she always kind of had Bill's number. My thought was more along the lines of Chloe is not a subtle character. She would not make a great detective. Like
Oh,
going in there so obviously, I mean, like it was destined that he was going to be about 5 minutes behind you, busting up into that office. Like there was no subterfuge of her getting in there and sneaking in to get those files. So I thought it was, yeah, I mean, of course, Bill's coming right behind you with an elephant.
I also want to point out that Bill wears an ascot with a polo shirt.
I have a note here that Bill looks like if Fred from Scooby-Doo got old and gayer.
Yeah, 100%. I was like, why?
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I think it very much speaks to his character.
Yeah, I guess so. It just, I mean, if you're going to wear one with, a long sleeve collared shirt or something like that, it made sense. Or a collared shirt, but I don't know. But it looked like he had on like a t-shirt with an ascot.
Yes, it was ridiculous. I'm not going to wear it. I just think it very much was fitting with his character. I think whoever the costumer is has fun with Bill.
Probably. I would.
He very, very much dresses like a super wealthy, meticulous gay man who wants to stay 30 forever.
That ship has sailed, Bill. But Matthew Modine still looks very handsome.
He does look great for his age. The little closer I get to 50, the less 60 looks old, for sure.
The older you get, the older old gets.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Keep moving that bar.
Yeah,
right?
hell yeah.
Like I'm negotiating in my mind how my 96-year-old neighbor isn't that old, really. But no, when I say that I liked it, that I didn't hate it, I don't necessarily mean I thought it was super awesome. And it's definitely something that I would roll my eyes at if one of my friends were wearing it. I just think it really was perfect for the character. Of course, he was wearing a t-shirt with an ascot.
I think I'm going to take that on. Well, no, I'm not this summer because it's too hot. But this winter, when I can cover the back of my neck without sweating profusely, I'm going to break out an ascot. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Honestly, you bringing ascots back, I don't know that I've ever loved anything more for you or been more excited.
Yeah, ascot and leg warmers. That's going to be my trend this fall and winter.
You shouldn't have told me now because I'm going to be excited for all these months.
Well, that's good because you're going to have to remind me this fall that I even said any of this because I'm going to forget
this podcast. But that's the upsetting part and why I wish you could do it now because now I feel like I really need to see you in a really jaunty ascot, but like with day glow leg warmers.
Maybe for your birthday.
Stop teasing me. That's only 2 weeks.
Oh, no. I'll spend 10 minutes in leg warmers and ascot because I'll be sweating my ass off. Another note of podcast
Next
is
one, Ascot Talk.
Ascot Talk, fashion with Beckyand Mandy. All right. So moving on back to the episode. So Chloe goes to meet with this FBI agent who is a dick.
That guy's an asshole.
He freaked me out. How Chloe didn't go home and pop 2 or 3 Xanax is amazing.
That guy's creepy.
He scared me when he grabbed her like
women.
that. He did. He definitely. I think he seems to hate everyone, honestly.
He does, but there were like several times that he's made comments that were just really disgusting about women. So that just is a very defining characteristic of his personality, I think, is you could just tell he's just a pig.
Yeah, for sure. And I like that when she leaves, she calls Michelle and she's like, we need to talk, which I figured she was going to finally come clean about the FBI agent and the Gentry group, but I had no idea the plan that was about to unfold, which we'll get to, but holy shit, it was wow. All right, so next up, we are back with Nikki, and we get a flashback where she comes home, still seems to be pretty drunk, doesn't know that it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's obvious that mom covered for her a lot and was Ethan's caretaker until, shit hit the fan. But I wanted to ask you, when she mentions to Nikki that Adam's coming home, Nikki throws up. Do you think that was just, when you drink too much, sometimes you get sick? Or do you think that was like anxiety and nervousness about the fact that Adam's coming back?
Both. I think that it was to show how bad off Nikki was, how helpless her mom felt. But I definitely think that stress of being told that Adam was coming was part of what made her vomit.
Yeah.
And then just led further to the mother's helplessness and guilt of watching her. Because I think the mom knows what I mean, they only have one episode left. So I don't know how much of this we're going to get wrapped up. But I just get the feeling that, the only thing we really know about the mom is that she clearly carries some guilt for how much Nikki suffers. And in my mind, like, I think she was able to call that Adam was a bad man and that Nikki was to some degree, she knew Nikki was in an abusive marriage.
Yeah.
And that she probably had a lot of guilt because Nikki fell into that trap of abusive men because of the pattern set in her own marriage.
So she goes to AA and she's opening up more about how she thought that Ethan wasn't safe with her, but that she realizes now he wasn't ever safe. And I just wanted to give a minute to talk about the Serenity Prayer. We don't have to say it or anything. I just love that prayer. I understand why it is used in a lot of addiction groups, I guess, because it's powerful. And I can tell you when I'm at places in my life where I feel like I can't control what's happening, but I'm struggling to step away and not try to control what's happening. I will repeat that prayer in my head so many times. I just love the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah, well, we could say it. It's easy. God, grant me the serenity
To accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can. And this is the big part, is the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah. I think a lot of, well, like cognitive behavioral therapy is almost my religion. And that is one of the tenets of cognitive behavioral therapy, is to identify what can you control and to work on letting go of the anxiety about the things that you can't control. And I know in my life, that's one of the most powerful tools that I've ever learned. Yeah, because it's like a muscle. You have to practice it. That's why, it's a great prayer, because it forces you to acknowledge that reality, because our instinct as animals, when we're in a situation that feels out of control, is to stop and try to protect ourselves. And sometimes your brain just, it's not possible.
Then we get to after the meeting is over.
Hold on, before we move past the meeting, when what's the boyfriend Ken? When Ken's talking about when he was at his lowest and sharing, he says he lived in Garage Door Tijuana, and I googled it. No idea. That's not a phrase.
Well, I think he was just basically saying he was in a shitty place.
It's just such a strange phrase. It stuck out to me. Unless somebody out there texts or messages us and is like, no, he said like Garashaho, or I don't know. I started thinking like, did he say it? But I went back and rewound it, and it definitely sounds like he said Garage Door Tijuana.
Captions say Garage Door too, because I watched with subtitles on so I could see.
Well, if it did mean just like BFE, it's just a strange phrase to use for that. But I like it.
Yeah. So this is my first, oh God, Mandy's right moment when we discovered.
You guys can see how pained Becky looks today.
Oh,
this is really hard for her.
This is. Like I said, I've learned to shut my hole and be cool when I might be right, Mandy was wrong, because there might be a time when she got everything else right. So we discover that Nikki is talking to Adam's mom, and that is, in fact, who Debbie is. Mandy was right again.
Yeah, you can say that. She was right. I was right again. Well, it just never made sense to me that old lady is in the bed and we never get closure on. It's like, I knew that was coming back, and there was really kind of a limited number of people she could be. Yeah. Adam's mom made the most sense.
So I want to hit the beach scene. This probably was, to me, the most powerful Nikki moment. And I love Ken. I love how Ken gets so much information out of her, or forces her to see things that, the realities of the situation. So we get a confession that Adam made Nikki stop breastfeeding. And I love what she said when he's like, why? And I guarantee you he made her stop because, well, I guess it was something Ethan needed from me that he couldn't give. Mm-hmm. And he didn't like that. He did not like him not being the most important, useful person in the room.
Yeah, that's very common with men like that. And also, too, he probably didn't like,
Her drinking.
well, that, but I was gonna, yes, that could have been an issue, but because I thought, is she being honest? Was his real issue about the fact that he was concerned about her drinking and nursing? That may have been it, but honestly, I think it's just more to show Adam's controlling tendencies because men like that, I think that is a common thing with abusive men. Not only do they not like that the wife can provide something that they can't, but also they think of the wife as their property. And he had a lot of resentment towards his son, as we find out.
Mm-hmm.
And so he very much might not have liked that they were bonding and leaving him out,
Yeah.
that he didn't want to share his wife with this baby.
Yeah. She admits that after she stopped breastfeeding, things got uglier, but she really, really did try. And we find out that he broke her nose. And, Ken pushes her to admit that. And he says to her, your husband wasn't there for you. He used your addiction to take everything away from you. And then they left you behind. And this is what I loved. This was done to you. No one's ever been there for her or for
Mm-hmm.
you. And she's typical Nikki. No, no, no. And he pushes her about how does that make you feel? And she finally says, I am furious, but she can't
Mm-hmm.
handle it. She can't handle, I don't know if it's so much she can't handle the look that he's giving her because it was a look of almost, really care, compassion, and empathy, or if it was that she just couldn't handle the way it was all making her feel. And she goes and heads into the water, and we get another flashback to the day that she was in the pool with Ethan, which
Yeah.
is very important next episode when the pieces come together, because the way we see it is very differently than the way Adam told it.
Yeah, which not a shock. First of all, naked again. Just another one of those moments. We get another one later on with Chloe where these chicks are taking their clothes off every opportunity. But I think the water is her safe space, which is one of the things that makes it awful that that's how Adam chose to use her addiction to get control of the baby and get out of that marriage because she genuinely, I think, loves water and she feels free there. I think that that look is like admitting that you are a victim is vulnerable and not safe. So I think that's what that was about, is that she feels more in control and can block out everything when she's in the water.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's her happy place, and he used it against her. God, what a
Mm,
dick.
I hate Adam.
All right. So next up, Chloe goes to see Jake and confronts him about the Gentry meetings. And he, typical lawyer, I can't tell you anything. And we learn that the Gentry Group isn't necessarily a person, that it's all LLCs and corporations that lead nowhere and to no one, as Jake says.
Jake says
And
that, but I want to point out that in either, I can't remember if it was the end of this episode or in episode 7, at one point, Bill says, "Get me Gentry on the phone."
yeah, now it could be, I thought the exact same thing.
We don't know. Did that just mean somebody with the Gentry group?
That's
Or was
right.
Jake lying and there is a Gentry at the end of that
Well,
trail?
I'm beginning to think Gentry is this FBI agent in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
I don't know. That guy's creepy and weird. There's something about him.
Yeah, well, we'll get way more into him for next episode. But so Jake admits he imagined Adam being gone one day and that he could be open and out with Chloe and have a relationship. I thought it was really sad when he said, but now, he can't even picture tomorrow, which, as we will see in next episode, was pretty profound statement given what he's facing, that we don't even, there's a lot more that's going on behind the scenes with Jake that we didn't even know about.
My two notes for that scene are Chloe is a predator and oh, look, naked again.
Yeah, but nice looking bum.
They're all attractive people. That is true. But Chloe's a predator. She just, that scene made me so mad. She just, the way that she uses him is so gross to me,
Mm-hmm.
especially knowing what she was going to do later
Yeah.
on. Just, and what a good dude. I know I don't want to jump ahead, but just Jake turned out to be a stand-up dude, at least in this area. He may have some skeletons in the closet somewhere, but what he ends up doing is pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's not without flaws, but he genuinely loves this woman and her kid, which we will find out in the next episode. So he's I feel bad for Jake.
Yeah.
So we head to the police station. Borat isn't around, and she does eventually find him at his mom's birthday celebration. And
Something weird about that. Like, what's he doing?
well, yeah, I think he's Borat and Gidry are a big part of field notes in one of these two episode notes.
Oh.
So the prosecutor says that he got an anonymous call that's come in that the sisters were dropping a bomb, and he is pissed off that no one is taking this seriously. And I'm like, screw you, dude. I hate you. So yeah, I was very intrigued about this anonymous tip. I was like, is this BS, or are they just trying to throw him off, or is something really going to happen?
Yeah.
And here momentarily we'll get into what actually does happen. I love this guy's ending. I really do. Anything you want to add on that?
Mm-mm.
So we go back to the house, and I really thought it was interesting when Chloe asked Nikki where she was, and Nikki said she was getting baptized, which really,
Mm-hmm.
now that I think about it, makes perfect sense to what you were saying earlier about the water being her safe, happy place.
Mm-hmm.
So they break the briefcase open and find.
A gun and a change of clothes. And is that a motel key, like an old-fashioned motel key?
I didn't even notice. I was so focused in on the gun, I didn't pay attention to anything else that was in there.
Yeah, because I know the gun is in there and that's the big obvious red flag, and maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I still feel like it's going to come out that Nikki and Adam were meeting up secretly before he got killed, and I'm wondering, like, is that like an old-fashioned motel key and that's why he had a change of clothes?
That's possible. So Nikki really encourages Chloe to be honest in court and bring out Adam's dark side. So that would pass motive on to, she says, either one of them and help Ethan's case. Because at this point, they don't have to prove that someone else did it. They just have to prove that someone else had
They just have to
motive.
create reasonable doubt
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Ethan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a note here. One thing, it was hilarious that when they were sitting outside before court, that Gidry walked by and she goes, Nicole instead of Nikki, and Nikki goes, Kathy instead of,
Oh, when Catherine walked by.
yeah, Catherine. When Catherine came by, she called her Nicole, even though she goes by Nikki, and Nikki called her Catherine or Kathy, even though she goes by Catherine. I just thought that was a
Yeah.
cute little thing. But also, one thing, the first thing they asked her what attracted her to Adam, and she said, look at him, he's hot. False. Nikki should have been arrested right then for perjury. That man is not hot. He looks like a penis. Like, just literally, the man looked like a human penis to me.
I won't argue with that. He definitely has a penis shape.
Also, Nikki was lying through her teeth. There were several times on that stand that you could see that Nikki was absolutely lying through her teeth.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go into the testimonies in the trial, though, I want to go back to talk about when they're still at home and they're discussing what needs to be done, and Nikki's encouraging her to tell the truth. And Chloe makes a comment it's like, yes, we got to do whatever we do to bring Ethan back to us.
Yeah, that was
And
nice.
that was such a sweet moment. And she
You could tell
finally,
it meant a lot to Nikki.
oh, yeah. And she finally looks at her sister and was like, we messed up. What we did to you is wrong. And I just wrote in all caps, finally.
Yeah, thanks a lot. A little too late, but glad you got there, Chloe. Thanks for getting here with us.
Hey, yeah. I mean, I'm not judging how long it takes a person to learn, as long as you learn. Sometimes it can take us. I didn't figure things. I'm still figuring things out, but I really didn't wise up till my mid to late 30s. So
Yeah.
we get into back to the courthouse, and I really thought the little moment with Michelle fixing Ethan's tie was sweet.
It
And
was sweet.
I just really like
You
the
could tell she did
way,
not want to talk to him about a plea deal.
no, but I love that he felt comfortable enough to admit to her that he was just angry.
Yeah.
And the online chat was just a way for him to get it out. And that though he wishes he could have, he never could have killed his dad. And she just simply says, "You are who you are supposed to be." I just love
Yeah, because I don't
that.
think either of his parents have ever given him that.
No, I don't think so either. I like that Ken showed up for Nikki. Ken just, man, he's got the words, man. He says, "You tell it one more time, and then you get to give it up forever."
Yeah.
Loved that.
Yeah, he's finally somebody that's there for Nikki, which is very sweet. You shouldn't be really getting involved with anybody that's in your AA, so I don't know how healthy that is, but
Yeah, but
nice that she's got somebody
they haven't crossed any line at this point.
that we know
So
of. Yeah, I wonder about, like, are we supposed to assume that they're together, or are they really still just being there for each other?
yeah, I'm assuming they're just being there for each other. They're just cute little flirts. So, but if they end up together in the end and it proves to be healthy, I'm not upset
Yeah,
about it.
I think one of the common things here is nothing rolls out perfectly in life. There's a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas, but sometimes we're all just doing the best we can.
Yeah, very true. So I was a little pissed at first when Bill came over with Jake and was talking to Chloe, but once everything comes out, I was like, yeah, screw you, Bill. But oh, poor Jake.
Hmm.
And then you mentioned Catherine shows up with the whole women are essential group, and she's like, "You all have assigned seats," but she won't go in because she says it would just kind of, based on her reputation, it would not go well. And I am here for a Gidry Nikki bonus episode where they team up to do detective work. I'm also here for a Catherine backstory
Yeah. Yeah,
episode
she definitely seems like she's got an interesting life.
for sure. All right, so diving into the testimonies. We start with Nikki, and you were saying how she lied on that stand, and you could tell it was extremely painful for her to do so, but she was going to do whatever she needed to do to help Ethan. But she says Adam was ambitious, organized, disciplined, wanted her to be better, and thought she could change, but she was nothing but a drunk. And she tried really hard when Ethan was born, but it got harder and worse. And I loved the way the camera panned over to Gidry and Borat, and they did not look happy with where this was going.
Yeah, they could tell that she was going to be a very sympathetic witness, which was not going to help their case. She was totally lying when she was saying, when they were asking, did she have any idea about Ethan's relationship with his father? Like, she definitely was lying through her teeth, and not even well
Yeah.
there, but that she didn't break.
No, she did not. And then Dick, prosecution guy, gets up and says, he tries to tear her apart,
When he
basically
winked at
saying,
her, oh my
"Oh,
God.
that's what I have here. That she made Ethan lie, and you taught him that, and you really don't even know your son." And then he winked at her, and she whispers the C word under her breath. And I wrote, "He is a
Oh
C
my God,
word."
so did I. So did I. That prosecutor is I'll say it, cunt.
Ugh, I hate that word. I hate
But
it.
he is.
But there are maybe twice a year when I'll look at someone and be like, "Yep, you are that." And I looked at him and thought, "Yeah, you are."
Anybody that could do that to a woman with her backstory, yeah, he deserves it.
Very much so.
And then or not Nikki, then Chloe gets on the stand.
And boy, does she
She totally sells Jake down the river.
she does sell Jake down the river. But before we get to that, I want to talk about how she finally was open, dropped the, we're perfect facade, and said that Adam resented her. She admits that Adam was abusive to her. And she just comes clean about the reality of their marriage. And then she sells Jake down the river. And Bill's face.
Yeah.
I hated it for Jake, but I loved the look on Bill's face when all that came out.
I wrote LOL Nikki's face when Chloe's admitting to sleeping with Jake because Nikki was dead up like, oh, girl. It was a very sister face that she was making like, oh, girl. Because clearly she didn't know that. She wasn't picking up on that. So I thought that was pretty funny. Poor Jake, though.
Oh, Jake, he did not look happy to be called to the stand, and he basically refuses to answer any questions on the grounds that it may incriminate him.
Even
And
though, like, he could have, like, he halfway through, he picked up what
what
they
was
were
going
doing,
on
and he was willingly participating in that because
for
he
Ethan? Did you
didn't,
see the
yeah,
look he
yeah.
gave Ethan when she said, "Did you kill Adam?" And
Mm-hmm.
before he responded, he looked at Ethan. He didn't look at Chloe, Nikki, anybody else. He did this
Yeah.
for Ethan.
Because he could have refuted, and probably it would have been pretty easy to find out that he didn't do this. But he knew that they were offering him up as a sacrifice strictly for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
And he willingly went with Michelle's strategy there to offer himself up as a victim. But you can also tell he's done with Chloe's shit. Because while he did it, he didn't, no one gave him a heads up. No one asked him about this. He just, it's a shitty thing for somebody who's supposed to be your secret lover to do to you, even for their own child. I mean, like, it's got to hurt.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Hashtag justice for Jake.
Yeah, that was some real shitty, was
Yes,
just some
was not
shit.
cool at all.
Yeah.
I loved the whole way they did this, the closing of this episode with
Mm-hmm.
Michelle's closing arguments being the voiceover. The music was brilliant. The way they panned over the faces of the cops, the prosecutor, and then we get that scene of more brilliant acting by Elizabeth Banks silently crying in the bathroom, which I've done so many times it's not even funny. I felt her emotions there. But what really got me was when Chloe reached out with her hand under the stall for Nikki, like Nikki did for Chloe all those times when Chloe was scared and she was little.
Yeah, and it was just kind of very poignant in telling of their relationship that there's always even though when they're trying to be there for each other, there's a distance between them,
Mm-hmm.
something like a disconnect, keeping them from really being able to see each other clearly. Like when they were little, Nikki was in the front seat, Chloe was in the back. This time they've got the literal wall of the bathroom between them, but they're still connected. That connection is still theirs. Very good storytelling.
Yeah, that's well said. So then we get the verdict, not guilty. And it was, again, the way they panned over the different people involved in this case and the split reactions. But I loved seeing Chloe, Nikki, and Ethan embraced in that hug. And then we get this scene of Nikki driving home, and we look down, and that gun is in her purse. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's gonna come into play next in the finale.
Mm-hmm. And Nikki's like her face and the relief on her face. Nikki did it. Nikki did it, or Nikki thinks she did it. Nikki was involved. I'm just calling it. I'm more and more convinced.
So Ethan and Chloe come in, and I loved how relieved Ethan was to see that Nikki was still there. And then a little bit later, he and Chloe are talking, and she asked him why he staged the break-in and took that stuff from the house. And he said, "Well, I was trying to protect you because I thought you did it," which goes back to what we'll find out next episode, what he witnessed that made him think that. And so that clarifies that Ethan did know Adam was dead before the cops told him, but I don't think he had anything to do with it because he thought his mom did it. But that explains why he wasn't surprised when Guidry told him about it.
Yeah,
So,
that wrapped that up because I was wondering about that too. Like, what was the point of all that?
yeah. All right, that's all I have for the main points. I just have a couple of field notes. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right. So Gidry goes to the bar and talks with her police chief, and she is in trouble for how she let her anger get the better of her with the sisters. And of course, it's all on camera. And he keeps saying she can't make that mistake again. And so he sets her up for a psych eval to try and, I guess, put a band-aid on or make to paint that what, even though that happened, they're
Like,
working on it as a
yeah, he's
department.
trying to be proactive to make sure that if somebody comes asking questions, that they're able to say that, she's had a psych eval and everything is fine. But I also think he said that because he cares about her and he knows that she's probably needs to go talk to somebody.
Yeah. And I really like that scene next episode. It's also, I've got that in the field notes too. So then Borat goes to the FBI agency to try to find the agent that Chloe was talking to. And I loved that receptionist. Mandy and I both spent time at a receptionist desk, and that woman's face was us talking to 95% of the people
Mm-hmm.
that came in or called for that matter.
Mm-hmm. You think you're going to get an executive on the phone or to get to see them if you just walk in? No, I'm way more afraid of that executive's assistant than I am of you taking me to jail and letting me have a day off.
Amen. So my last field note is you were talking earlier. We learned that Ken is a recovering drug and alcohol addict. And this disgusted me that he was surfing in polluted water, got dysentery, and nearly died. And it was 50 years old. He was 50 when he started working on getting sober. So Ken got a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, that was gross.
It was so gross.
That was really nasty.
Dysentery. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to see him next week or in the finale with a pirate hat and an eye patch on.
Yeah, it
'Cause-
made me laugh because that's the second time this week that media that I'm consuming heavily involved dysentery, or at least minorly involved, maybe not heavily involved, but minorly involved dysentery. My favorite podcast, aside from ours, is Last Podcast on the Left, and they've been covering the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And one of the things that they had to talk about was during the Civil War, how many people died of dysentery. And literally, that's diarrhea, guys. It's just you poop yourself to death.
And like, yeah, Ken said it, here I am, puking and shitting myself to death. So
Yeah,
that's one shitty way to go.
literally.
Oh, that was fun. All right. So that is all I have for episode 6. I think it was a phenomenal episode, but it does not compare to what we are about to dive into. What are your final
Mm,
thoughts on that one?
it was a good one. Yeah, the ball's really rolling now.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's move into episode 7. We start with a flashback where we see Chloe and Adam are fighting, and Adam puts his hands on her, and we see where these bruises are coming from. And what Chloe does not know is that Ethan is out on the deck being so adorable, a little teenage boy taking his selfies with the skyline behind him. And he sees what's happening and hears Chloe say, "Touch me again and I'll kill you." So that's why he staged that break in and took to protect her, because he legit thought she was the one that killed him.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious that right after that flashback, Chloe just straight up says, "Yep, that explains why you thought I murdered him."
Yeah. She's so matter of fact. So like she's like
Dry.
the horse. Yeah, the horse that's got the blinders on. She just sees things just
Right in
one
front of her.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we go into, I loved this, all of them in the kitchen. Chloe was quite the outdoorsman. I love they're talking about cleaning a fish, because if some type of apocalypse happens, and y'all are with me and I haven't died because I ran out of lotion and my hands were dry and it made me crazy, I know how to clean a fish.
Well, good news because I don't and don't ever want to. So let's hope we're together and you can do that for me.
Well, you're going to be in charge of the rabbits.
Oh, girl, no. No, that's why you was cutting up
I
that
cooked a
rabbit
rabbit
too.
for you. You're going
Yeah.
to cook one for me.
I'll cook it. I'm not gutting it or I mean, if I had to, I'm not there's a lot of stuff I'll do if I'm hungry enough. Like I think we've already established in
You would
another
eat me.
podcast that I would eat a person. Like if we're in like a Andy's plane crash situation and it's looking real good that we're gonna go at least past lunchtime, I'm gonna go ahead and eat you. I don't like to be hungry. No one likes me when I'm hungry. It's just best for everyone all around that I just go on and cut me off Becky Shank. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
kill you, but if you're already dead, I will do that. But it's not something I would relish. Like I'm not big on guts and gore. It's gross. I'd like to go the rest of my life without cleaning out any animals. Thank you.
Well, I'm just saying it's a good skill to have because you never know when it might come in handy.
Well, clearly.
So they're having this discussion that seems so just fun, where they're talking about Wallace Lake versus Shadowy Lake, and which comes into play big time at the end of this episode.
I'm going to
So,
say something here. I think this part of the plot, the writing is clunky.
oh, I don't think so.
I don't like it because it just, first of all, who doesn't know the prayer, now I lay me down to sleep? It's
You
not,
didn't. I
yes,
thought
you do.
about us because you and I were discussing once how when I am going to sleep, I pray almost every night before I go to bed. And when I'm done, I say Hail Mary, and then I say Our Father, and then I say this prayer. And you were like, "Oh, I don't know that one."
If I said that, I didn't realize what prayer you were talking about because, of course, I know that prayer. Every little kid in America was terrified of that prayer as a small child, but it's not like this deep, mysterious, little known poetry, which is what they kind of refer to it as. And the whole, where is Shadow Lake? Why did she just arbitrarily change it to Shadow Lake? I got that she said that's where she shotgunned with her friends, but I don't know. That just seemed like a very strange choice to be your family's little known ritual. I just thought that was I personally thought that was very clunky writing. I mean, it comes back to be important later, but I just thought that was a strange choice.
I loved it. I had no issues with the conversation. It just reminded me of family conversations where, one remembers one thing one way and one remembers something the other way, and they're clowning on each other. And I wrote here their conversation about Nikki finally being right. And I put in parentheses, me and Mandy right now.
Yeah, I thought that too. I thought that'd be a great is if we had the audio to put that right there right now. But yeah, I don't know. It was that specific choice to make that their bonding thing, their bonding ritual, their family tradition. I just thought that was a strange choice. And I don't know that it was rolled out. I don't feel like it was rolled out very well. But also, what was the whole deal about remember your soul had a shape? It was oval. Yeah. What does that mean? I
I
hope we're going
don't
to find
know. And
out.
I didn't care because it's Ethan's line where he says, "It's nice to see you two together reminiscing. And this is how it's supposed to be, the three of us." That whole conversation could have been about boys, Nikki being messy in the bathroom.
Right.
I don't care. They delivered all the lines well, and it was just, to me, to show this cohesive unit that Adam has been craving his entire life, is a feeling of
You mean Ethan?
normalcy and love, and seeing his moms together getting along, not having to keep one a secret from the other. And the mention of the Wallace Lake Shadow Lake was actually callback because it made that scene with them at that lake, it pulled that back into the story and gave us, made us understand what they're talking about. I have no issue with that whole thing whatsoever. It all made perfect sense to me.
It made sense to me. I knew what they were trying to do. I just didn't think it was very what that was not one of, in my opinion, the better written scenes. I feel like that it was very obvious that, yes, part of it was showing how happy Ethan was about all of that. That part was awesome. I mean, it was a nice, heartwarming part, but I felt like it was, for the purposes of the plot, it was important because they were establishing something that was going to be called back later on. And I just felt like they could have chosen some other poem or something, something original or what have you. But also, I thought that it was a little more complex too than they were all sitting there bonding. I felt like all three of them were having a different experience. Ethan was just sweet, young, naive kid that he's seeing just the surface of this is this great thing that is going on, both my mom's, and he was having that, like, I've wanted this, I've needed this my whole life. And Nikki very clearly was like relieved. I think she had a big weight off her shoulders because Ethan wasn't going to jail and she was finally here back with her sister and her son again. But I don't think Chloe was loving that as much as everyone else was. I feel like if you really paid attention to Chloe, that it was showing that Chloe was a little jealous when she got home and she saw them in there and they were bonding. I think she feels like it's a little bit of a threat to her.
And that's possible. I mean, you're right about everything else.
I
So,
think she's trying to get over that. But I think that if you really look at her face and like the fact that she then says, I'm going into town and I want to take Ethan with me, and Ethan, I'm going to take you shopping. For me, I felt like they were trying to show that this is still not a perfect fit. She knows that she owes this to Nikki and it's what's best for Ethan. But I think she's still struggling a bit with this idea of sharing Ethan with his biological mom, even though that's her sister who she does love.
yeah, and I see your perspective. I see your point of view. I was just so, when growing up, there for a while, we had family dinners at our table, but it was tense and it was weird. And then there was all of those years where, my brothers were doing their own things, getting into trouble. Mom was working the night shift. And so, we just didn't have family moments. And so I remember when Darren and I started getting serious and he was like, I want you to meet my parents. And we went to his niece's birthday party. And I just remember thinking, oh, finally I get to know what it's like to have the whole family together at Christmas or something like that. And that was kind of what was going through my head, just
Yeah,
seeing this. I mean, it's not at all black and white. I learned every family has their
right.
nobody's family is perfect and
Yeah.
there's drama everywhere. But I think that's where I might have had my own.
You were remembering that moment,
Yeah.
and
So
how
I did
awesome that
not
was.
look for anything else, but you are I could definitely see that being part of what was playing out for sure.
But I do know what you're talking about, though. Like, we've had moments in our family where, for whatever reason, there have been fractures between people. And when you have that come back together, there is a special joy, which is a little bit different than what you're saying. But I know what you mean. Like, family moments, the older you get, especially when you've been in a position where you may have lost those moments forever, they mean more to you when they happen again.
Yeah.
And that I have definitely had those situations where it may not last, but for that moment, you're all back together again, the way that it feels like, when you're a little kid on Christmas and you envision what family should be, when it really seems to be that, it means a lot. It's very poignant. Those moments are very important and rare.
Yeah. So Chloe, before they go into the city, she runs over to pay Jake a visit and sees Michelle there.
Creeper.
And here is where Mandy was right
Right
again.
again. Right again.
So I got the impression that Michelle was married and that she and Jake definitely boned.
Mm-hmm.
And so congratulations, Mandy.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yes.
I loved where she's telling Jake, you're not dark like they are. Fucked up white people.
Yes, that does seem to be
I didn't
her
do that
impression.
delivery justice, but oh my God, love. I will not rest until Gloria Reuben is on the show.
When she yelled at them, I know we already passed that point, but when she yelled at them back in the last episode about when they were like, plea bargain, that's not going to happen. And she was like, cut the shit. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yes, ma'am.
Like, I felt like Doris was talking to me.
I have never seen Michelle or Gloria Reuben in any role be that aggressive with anyone. I bet that felt great.
Yeah, she had some moments in ER when she was
I
dealing
didn't
with her
watch ER.
husband. Oh, that's right. Well, her husband, spoiler alert for a 20-plus-year-old show, her husband was sleeping around and ended up giving her
Oh.
HIV. And
That is such an
she
early 90s plot,
she
too.
gives him the business. So, but she was way more intense this
Like you
time.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally made me think of my mom when my mom would.
Snap.
My brothers, it was not hard for her to reach that breaking point because they were always into some shit. But with me, I was the better sister. And when she would get to that moment with me, it was serious,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, Doris is yelling at me right now. Stop it, Michelle. So Michelle leaves. She's got what did she say? A date with the prosecutor, and she's gonna go gloat.
God, I hope it's not that shithead.
It is. That's exactly who it is.
I assumed it was, but then I thought about it and she didn't specifically say it was him, but it probably was.
It is, but I don't know. I'm choosing to believe it's not a date because I believe she's got better taste than a douche like that. But I would take the full opportunity to accept a date just so I could rub it in his face that I took him down.
Yeah, he was gross. That wink. Oh, punch him dead in his eye.
So we discover that Jake is put on leave by the Braddock firm, and Chloe is trying to, again, she's backpedaling or backtracking or
She wants to use him again.
backsliding. She's trying to rationalize what she did, and he's like, I didn't do it for you. I did it for Ethan. And then the light bulb comes on. He's like, you don't care anything about me. She says she does, but she had to do what she had to do to bring her son home. And he's right. You could have let me in on it. And her excuse is, well, we needed it to seem natural. Well, you didn't need to go show up and use him sexually. All of that could have happened with just a conversation. You ain't no angel here, woman.
Well, yeah, there was no reason to go over there and sleep with him the night before, knowing what she was going to do, which in that scene, you could tell it wasn't even about him. She just was using sex as a way to deal with or not deal with her feelings. And then just trying to justify it. Like in some ways, she just is not grown very much still. She truly did not expected him to just be totally fine with her using him first for sex and then for getting her child out of danger.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad he shut that shit down.
I am too.
Kick rocks, Chloe.
I hope Jake, should he survive, I hope Jake walks away from her and never looks back.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets back to the house and we discover that Borat's been following her and he tries to warn her about this FBI agent. And then Chloe goes and tells Nikki that she's being followed by Borat, and it's possible that Nikki is being followed by Guidry. And Nikki's like, yeah, the gays love me. I'm raising him gay.
That was a little bit of Sal. That was a Sal moment.
Yeah. I wish she would have said that there. I thought it was cute when they're teasing each other as she's on her way out the door about Ken. And Chloe says, I bet he loves Moby Dick.
Yeah. What your mind's on? Dick. That's what.
Yeah, that's so cute.
That was a very cute sister moment.
All right, so we segue over to Artie, and this is the one thing I can take away from this episode that I was right about. Artie did not sell out Chloe and the kid.
I don't think we've established that.
No, we have.
How?
All right, well, let's just talk about it. So Borat goes to the bar to check Artie's alibi because at this point they are back at square one. They've lost their main suspect and they have no idea what to do. And it comes out from the bartender that Artie was not there all night. And so the bartender tells the story that he got in a fight with some poor guy. And we discover through a flashback that that was Adam. And Artie confronts Adam about yelling at Chloe and threatening him to do better. And he gets kicked out, which leaves him time to have killed Adam. So we'll segue back to that when they get to the New York house. But when I walked away from this section, Artie loves Ethan and Artie loves Chloe. He hated Adam, but there's nothing in me that feels like he did anything in any way to harm those two people because he he genuinely cares about them.
I agree with that part.
I just feel like there's no evidence to show.
Well, it's definitely not proven yet.
That he's doing anything.
I'm still holding out for episode 8 to see how that's going to play out. And I'm going to throw something out at you. Did you ever watch, and I cannot believe this is the first time I'm ever asking you this, the movie Labyrinth? David Bowie.
400 years ago.
Oh, so you weren't like me and watched it 9,000 times.
Well, back then, but I haven't watched it I probably haven't watched it since the 90s.
Okay. Well, the character in that movie that Artie reminds me of is Hoggle, who was the dwarf that Sarah first meets in Labyrinth when she gets there. And he loves Sarah. Like in the end, he redeems himself. But throughout a lot of the movie, you can tell he actually genuinely likes Sarah. He's kind of a curmudgeon and he's like seems to be helping her out, etc. And then it turns out at a certain point that he's being blackmailed by the Goblin King and he actually is doing things to make Sarah's trip harder. Even though he genuinely likes her, but at his core, he always was I got to look out for myself kind of guy. I feel like that is Artie. Yes, I do think that he genuinely cares about her, but one of the other defining characteristics is that he is willing to do a whole lot for a buck. You know, reselling that couch. Ethan brings down his chainmail later on. The first thing he's asking is, can I sell that? Their relationship is not equal. Like when he talks to Chloe later and tells her, you know, it wasn't right the way he treated you and all of that. And she gives him money. It's transactional. Like there is an inequality to their relationship that I think that even though he does care very much about them, at the end of the day, Artie's for Artie. And like even the fact that he was cheating on his wife, like, yeah, he didn't want them to go and upset his wife, but that didn't stop him from being with Janice all night long. Even though, yes, he would go to bat for them and he thought it was shitty the way that Adam treated them. I absolutely still think that he would sell their location out to the paparazzi. He might feel bad about it, but I still feel like he'd do it.
All right. Well, we'll see. So they're back at the house and they get a warm greeting from Artie for Ethan and Chloe. And, you know, Chloe mentions that she didn't realize how much he was paying attention over the years. And he kind of like, you know, sorry about how things played out with Jake. And he says that Jake still has a key to their place. Do you want me to get it back? And she says, no, I'll take care of it. I think something's going to happen with that in episode 8. I don't know what.
I noticed that too. Yeah. But that doesn't feel like they didn't mention it for a reason.
Right. Yeah. And then she gives her all the mail and Adam's ashes are there. And quick flashback to when she's getting ready for the party and chooses that dress that you talked about way back in episode 1. She chooses that one to cover up the bruises. And then she goes to check the Gentry files and they're gone. # fuck Bill.
Yeah, she could have called that one, man. I feel like the writing was on the wall on that one.
For sure. But I didn't even realize she got the thumb drive back from the FBI guy. I thought the way he was manhandling her, I didn't think she got it back. So I was surprised to see it.
I never saw her get it back. But I also would have, in that scenario where when I got the thumb drive, I would immediately cloned it. So I don't know. Maybe it was a
That's
clone.
true. That is very true. There probably are multiple copies.
Mm.
That's smart. So we get to Ethan, and oh my gosh, this actor could for sure get an Emmy nomination for Best Supporting Actor based on just this episode alone. It was so moving watching him walks out on the balcony with his dad, and he's wearing his little coat of armor, and he starts reminiscing about the bad, and what is he, 18 years old, all those years of stuff that he's kept inside about how he knows he wasn't what his dad wanted, and how he was scared of him even when he was laughing. Oh my God. But
Mm.
he really did love him, and he tosses a handful of his ashes out, and he goes to give his suit to Artie, and Artie says, "Oh, you've outgrown it." And Ethan's like, "Yeah, I have." And he has, not physically, but he's emotionally and mentally outgrown the need for that suit, which I thought was a very beautiful whole thing. I just loved all of that.
One of the things that I really took from that was how awesome it was that Adam was getting tossed off that thing because they've repeatedly mentioned how much he
He
hated it.
hated it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really was wanting my boy Ethan to just open that urn up and just dump that shit out. Let him fly through the crowded streets of Manhattan.
For sure. So we circle back to the Hamptons, and Guidry approaches Nikki after the AA meeting. And again, more amazing banter between these two. And she introduces Ken, and she's like, "This is the detective I was telling you about." And Nan just snaps back. I talk about her at home too.
Yes, they're very flirty with each other. I also get the feeling that Nan's been to a meeting or two herself.
Oh, for sure. I don't know if it's for drugs and alcohol, but I do think it has something to do with her anger issues.
Could be, but she definitely seems to get the whole process and lingo behind a 12-step program.
Yeah. So she says she's there because it's a courtesy call that they are having to start this whole investigation over. So you'll be seeing them around. And Nikki smarts off and then walks away. And then Guidry picks up the cigarette butt Nikki was smoking.
Nikki, come on, Nikki.
I know. I'm like, dude, I feel like they're letting
You're
their guard
not a
down.
rookie, Nikki.
And she should have seen that coming. But I do think it's very funny that Nikki wants to start following Nan. She's like, well, she's following me. Let's follow her, which leads us to an assisted living facility. And we eventually get to meet Eddie, who we learn is the man that Guidry hurt, but we can go over that more in field notes. But I loved Ken and Nikki outside having their cigarette, and they con the nurse basically into giving them information by saying that they're brother and sister, and they were just there visiting with their dad, and they find out that this guy is who Guidry comes to visit. They say that she put him here, which could be very open-ended, that she's physically put him there, or she put him there because she felt guilty and he wanted to make sure he was taken care of. I don't know. But
She physically put him there. That was we established that
okay
later.
So Ken says, brother, huh? And Nikki's like, well, it's kind of kinky.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm like, are we sure they're not already messing around? Because that seemed like they were more of a couple.
I mean, I keep saying I don't think, but I haven't been right about but like 0.5 things. So
Well, I don't think,
who
no,
knows?
I've been paying attention. We don't know. It's very open-ended. Unless I missed something too, there is at no point, you don't see them kissing. You don't see them making, getting out of bed together. It just feels like in the last episode, especially, and that's the seventh episode, especially, it didn't even seem like they were friendly banter anymore. Like
Their
in every other
chemistry
way
is
they seem,
growing.
yeah, in every other way they seemed like a couple.
Yeah, very much so. So we get to my second favorite pairing in this episode is Catherine. Chloe goes to visit Catherine, and Catherine is on shrooms.
I wrote Catherine is high AF.
She said when they're talking and Chloe's like, "Are you still high?" And she stops and kind of looks to the side. It's like, "I don't think so."
She's clearly
Catherine
still
played
high.
Stoner so well.
Yeah, she's clearly still high as a damn kite. But then she tells her to admit what really happened with her sister.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't buy it. I still don't think Chloe is being completely honest with herself. When she says it was always about Ethan, the whole thing with Adam was a surprise, I call bullshit. The whole thing with Ethan was incidental. Ethan came along with Adam. Adam is what she really wanted. And why she won't admit that yet, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see it that way. I really do believe that she was so stressed out over the Nikki's behavior and worried, and because what we find out at the end of this episode, that Adam has really been inserting himself into Chloe's world by painting this picture that Ethan isn't safe. And
I agree that's one of the
I
things that they did, but I just feel like with her mom going back to when she was coming over in like episode 3 or 4, and they were flashing back to when Nikki was postpartum, but had already, I guess, left Adam and was living with their mom, and she was drunk.
They were
And
at Adam's house
her
when
mom
she
was,
came home drunk, and the mom was watching Ethan for her. She was still with Adam
were
at
they
that
still with
point.
Adam? Okay. Either way, she was already messing around with Adam, and the mom very strongly hinted, you need to really look at what your motivations are here. It's not just about Ethan. If Ethan was truly what it was always about, Ethan wouldn't have gotten lost in the background of their ambition and infighting and all of that. Like, at no point did Ethan seem like he was the central to Chloe's world. She didn't make Ethan's home life safe for him. She didn't even insist that he get therapy when he clearly needed it, when he was taking a gun to school. She just gave him food. Again, I think she loved him, but I think that that was a convenient excuse for her to be able to forgive herself for taking her sister's husband. That's how I see it.
Here's how I see it. Chloe was as fucked up as Nikki based
True.
on their childhood. They both have daddy issues.
Yes.
Chloe stepped into young adulthood with the same issues with men.
Different, but yes.
Yes. And like you said in earlier episodes, Adam saw that and Adam
Mm-hmm.
used that. So
Very
Chloe
much.
is, yes, she's involved in her sister's life. She's very worried about her sister. She does have a view of her sister that she saw from youth that Chloe had a problem. And
Mm-hmm.
here is, she loves her nephew. I think about my love for the kids in my orbit that aren't mine, but I love them very much. And I put myself in Chloe's position. You're getting constant calls from your brother-in-law who knows your concern about your sister's alcohol abuse. And he's constantly feeding you information. And in the process, you see him as an attractive man. So he's a predator. He's grooming her. He was
I agree.
grooming her. And I think in her, the way she sees it is that she did save Ethan. She did it out of love for Ethan. Yes, she had feelings for Adam. They'd probably been there for a while, but she didn't pursue that. Adam pursued her, and
I agree
she's
with that
weak
part.
when it comes to men, so she succumbed to it. Now, once the damage was done and she made that choice based on the lie Adam fed her, she said it to Catherine. The only way to live with what she done was to erase Nikki. And I get
Mhm.
that because we are all often, sometimes out of sight, out of mind.
Mhm.
So Catherine's gone or Nikki's gone. Fast forward, no, they weren't the best parents to Ethan, but I don't think it was because it's just we are the product, oftentimes, the generation, the way we're raised, how we show love, parents or adults, stems a lot from how we were loved when we were kids. And that's what Chloe is doing.
I agree
That's,
with all of that. My problem
but
with Chloe saying that it was all about Ethan.
I believe
That's
in her head she thinks it
I
was.
believe she thinks it was. I think she's fooling
I
herself.
think I don't know. I don't think it's that. I just don't think it's that black and white. But
Well, I don't think it's black and white at all. I think it is very complex, but
I think she's being honest with what
I
she's saying to Catherine is what I'm trying to say.
I don't think she's honest with herself, is what I'm saying. Even in that moment, she is still not seeing that the reason that she was able to be groomed by Adam was because she had those daddy issues and she had that attraction to and fucked up relationship with those kinds of toxic relationships. And her love for Ethan was the in that he used to start working on her. But if she hadn't already wanted her sister's husband and her sister's life, it wouldn't have worked. And I
I feel like
think,
we're saying the same thing.
well, we are, but the significant difference, I think, is that to my mind, just the difference of opinion, and the show may never settle this for us, so we may just always see this differently. But I feel like you give her too much credit and you think I don't give her enough. I think she loved Ethan. I don't think that that was her primary, deep in her heart motivation for starting a relationship with Adam and what she did to her sister. I think that at her core, she allowed herself off the hook for what she did to her sister by saying, I was primarily motivated to protect my nephew. But I think if she were really honest with herself, that was a good excuse for her to do what she wanted to do in the first place, which is be in a relationship with her sister's husband. She was not capable of being selfless enough for it to all be about Ethan.
Okay. I hear you.
Catherine thinks that they should write a book about what happened with their relationship and their sisterhood and all that. Even in that, it's showing that at her core, Chloe and Catherine too are self-involved creatures. Like,
See,
even though they're good, everything is about appearance. Like, they're immediately trying to figure out an angle that they can use this family trauma to make money and to
but
control the narrative.
that whole conversation, that was Catherine who said that. Chloe wasn't,
Chloe was
she,
all in on it.
no, she
Chloe was,
wasn't.
she wasn't.
She shook that whole thing off like, no, I
That's
don't think
not what I,
it's,
that's not
I
what I
don't know.
got from.
I saw it completely. I saw it. I did not see
I
that
think
Chloe was
Chloe,
chomping at the bit to do this to make money.
I think Chloe has some more guilt about that than Catherine does. I think you could see, and that's one of the great things about this performance that Jessica Biel's doing. If you look at her face, it's you can tell part of her knows that this isn't the most ethical thing or even the healthiest thing for their family that they can do. But there's a part of Chloe that needs applause. She needs attention from the public. And so she's trying to be the better sister here. Ding, 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 back to the name. She's trying to be more selfless because she thinks deep down, she knows deep down that's what she should be. So when Catherine starts selling her on this is what I think you should do, it's like the devil on your shoulder. You could see her start to really be attracted to that idea. And she didn't commit to it, but you can see the wheels spinning there that she is now part of her is now looking at how she can make money off of this whole situation again.
Yeah, I just saw her laughing it off like shaking it off, yeah, maybe for a second. I'm not saying she didn't consider it, but I saw that ending with her like, no, I'm not doing it. Who knows? So then Bill calls and Catherine tells her, don't run from Bill. He loves the chase. And so she goes to visit Bill and he's all talking about loyalty. And this comment about, can we go back to being rich, normal people? Ugh, hashtag F Bill. He denies he deleted any Gentry Group files, and she says that she was looking for truth about what happened to Adam. And Bill's like, well, we'll never know. And she threatens him, like, well, maybe I'll call the FBI agent whose card I found. Doesn't let on that she's already been talking to this person. And Bill suggests that, not to do that for your safety. Go focus on Ethan. And she's like, yeah, that's great advice. And then he looks at his assistant and says, like you mentioned earlier, get Gentry on the phone ASAP. So I hope this Gentry situation we get some closure on that in episode 8.
Yeah, I wrote several times through my notes that I'm sick of this Gentry Group shit because I am so confused. The part that I am still on the fence about is I'm gonna be kind of pissed if all of a sudden in the last episode somebody from Gentry Group turns out to be the one that killed Adam. I still think that Nikki at least believes that she did it. But there is a possibility that whoever the hell and whatever this deal is with the Gentry Group is that they were the ones that actually did it. And if that's the case, I am not like, you see how hard I'm following clues here. They get just like a revolving door of people out of that FBI agent's car. Like, is Guidry's partner, is he crooked? Is Jake crooked? I don't know. It's too much, and I can't understand what they're doing with that.
Well, the FBI guy goes to visit Jake, and we learn that he had this thing. It sounds like he had the same deal Adam had, that he would provide info on the Gentry Group, and they would give him basically immunity for all the involvement he had with the Gentry Group, which seems both Adam and Jake were very involved in the Gentry Group.
And whatever it is.
Yeah. So Jake lets us in on the secret that he knows that they have an inside man in the Gentry Group, which I think
was another thing I was right about. That meeting didn't happen.
Yeah. And I feel like this inside man in the Gentry Group is going to be very important in some way with Adam's death.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if all of a sudden in episode 8, we find out there is one dude who is Gentry that we haven't seen this whole time and he killed Adam, I'm going to be pissed.
Well, I don't think his name is going to be Gentry, but I think that and I'm not saying he killed Adam. I don't know. I just think that again, this show drops subtle things, that some things come back to mean something and then other things don't.
Right.
But I feel like that sentence is going to pack some weight in the finale.
Yeah, I do too. I wish that we knew more about them at this point.
Yeah. Back to Jake. So Jake wants out and the FBI insinuates that Adam wanted out too. And you see what happened to him, which could just be an empty threat. He had nothing to do with Adam's death, but he's making Jake think he did. So
right. Maybe he did. Yeah.
He holds up his end of the bargain. And then,
I don't think it was the FBI agent. I really don't think it was the FBI agent.
No, I don't either. So he threatens to take Jake's license and bury him under the deck. And basically he leaves and says, get me what you owe me. And Jake looks petrified of this man when he goes in and locks his full glass window that somebody could very easily just break into.
Doesn't that guy have a supervisor? I mean, I would definitely be on the phone with his supervisor at the FBI.
Yeah.
Like, hey, guy, your man's is threatening me.
So we're back with Guidry and Artie, and she goes to confront him about his bogus alibi, and he confesses to having an affair. The alibi does check out, and he's honest with her about that he did lose his temper with Adam, and confronts him about confronting Adam, saying, a man needs to there's some things a man needs to hear from another man. And I loved that he stood up to Adam. And we discover, this is a very big, important piece of information, that Nikki comes out to smoke, and he knows that she is still taking care of Adam's mom in Ohio, which adds fuel to the fire, which makes me wonder, getting Nikki's DNA, what Nikki says at the end of this episode, which we're getting ready to get to. Everything's pointing to Nikki, but I just, with a full episode left, feel like there's
definitely gonna be more to the story.
There's gonna be more to it than, I just don't see him laying all of this out in the penultimate episode. And then what is episode 8? Just
I don't know. They got a lot to wrap up. I don't know. They have a lot to wrap up in one episode.
All right, so we get back to the Hamptons, and there is a package that Ethan gets, and we learn that he requested, before even all this happened, he requested the records on what happened the day he was told he almost drowned in the pool. And then another video is sent, and Nikki comes busting in and says, "Detective Dildo paid me a visit today," and tells Nikki about her going to the assisted living facility. And I just love Nikki and how she makes fun of Gidry. So Ethan notices something odd about the police report, and he comes out to tell Chloe, and Chloe's like, "Yes, tell her, be honest with her about this." So he admits that he wanted to find out what went on. And there was a big thing there, that no water was found in his lungs, meaning that he did not drown. Here's what we found on the report. Nikki's blood alcohol level was 0.30. Y'all, the legal limit in Tennessee is 0.08.
That son of a bitch could have killed her.
Freaking killed her.
And he didn't care.
He did not care one bit. Like the pause where he waited to make sure she was unconscious before he dialed 911. Ooh, hate that guy. And then
the anger with which he was breaking up those pills and putting them.
And so many.
And he could have killed her. And for anybody out there who's might be thinking like, well, she was a terrible mom, what was she doing? Nikki was an alcoholic. Nikki absolutely was an alcoholic. But here's where if he were a decent human, he could have done things differently. If he really ever cared about her and loved her and wanted the best for her, he would have gotten her help. Instead of judging her and looking for ways out and being snarky and trying to kill her in the process, it wasn't about what was best for Ethan. It wasn't what was best for Nikki. At no point, that everybody in that family could have tried to get Nikki help, but no one did. They just blamed her for being the way she was.
Yeah. So as they're going through this, you're talking about how she's not being honest with herself. I feel like if you doubt her understanding and fully grasping what happened after this whole thing, then you and I will not ever see eye to eye on Chloe. I definitely
think that she is having her psychological excuses dismantled for sure. I do think that she wanted to believe Adam when he told her that. But the flip side of that too, Becky, is that the truth has been out there all this time and she never looked for it. She never questioned his thought about it. Like, yes, I do think it was devastating to her. And I think part of her is coming to a very different place than she was. But I don't think that negates the fact that she was easily manipulated by that guy because she already wanted what Nikki had. She didn't protect Nikki either.
No, even if she didn't protect herself. That's
for sure she didn't. Okay. She was very much a victim of that man grooming her. So yes, I believe that, but I don't think that makes her a saint and I know they're not saying that, but I'm maybe saint's not even the right word. I think she's still she's still not accepting that at her core, she is pretty selfish and that she was able to be manipulated into that relationship partly because she was able to excuse herself by saying, I'm protecting Ethan.
All right. So she goes to process everything that she's just learned, and Ghost Adam is sitting there, and
I'm sick of Ghost Adam.
he's filling her head with what I'm certain how she's rationalized this in her head for the last
Mm-hmm.
12, 15,
10, 12
16
years,
years
whatever. Yeah.
is, she would have killed him eventually. He had to do what he did. He thought it was what was best. And
Mm-hmm.
she would have been nothing, certainly not a mother, if he hadn't have done what he'd done. And
Mm-hmm.
then Nikki comes in, and I feel like she's feeling everything, like everything. The floodgates are open.
Mm-hmm.
Clarity has hit her for the first time in a lot of years, not
Yeah.
because she was manipulated into doing shit that she would not have normally done.
I agree that she is being hit with the fact that she was manipulated, but it goes back to what her mother said in that flashback that if you look inside yourself, this is not about Ethan. He was able to manipulate her because she wanted to believe that that was what happened.
I don't know. I have been manipulated so many times by really bad
Same.
men, and I don't think she's malicious. I don't think any of this is
I don't
malicious.
think she's
No, she
malicious. I just
didn't.
think she's self-centered.
All right. So Nikki comes in, and she starts to try to make Chloe feel better. And Chloe's like, I don't want absolution. I think she, in this moment, needs to feel what she's pushed down for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
And Nikki admits to Chloe that she felt like she was stronger than her and would be able to handle Adam's overbearing, manipulative self, which Nikki admits she was wrong, because Nikki'd known for a couple of years that Adam lied, but didn't say anything because she felt at that point Ethan was almost out of the house, so it doesn't matter. But then she realized when she started talking to Ethan that things weren't picture perfect like Nikki had thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And the absolute bomb drop of the whole entire series so far is she says, that's why I came. I had to protect you. I had to do it, which Chloe and myself, and I think all the rest of the watchers out there, do make it look like Nikki somehow got here and killed Adam. But what I love the most about the scene is the way they shot it. And kudos to the director for this, because you're still seeing Nikki's point of view of looking at Chloe, and you see the camera, the way it pans up, but it's very disorienting. And I feel like they are showing us that that's how Chloe's head felt at that point, how disorienting it was hearing what her sister was saying, trying to process that on top of everything else that she's had to realize today.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the same thing about the way that that was shot. And who knows I do think that it's just completely making Chloe look at things that she didn't want to see before, and her world is crashing around her. I also don't think Nikki's been completely honest yet. We're about to hear a lot more, but
Yeah.
I still think Nikki had a relationship with Adam. I think that the night that Adam died was not the first time that she and Adam have been in contact behind Chloe's back. I think they've, at least for a while, she's had some kind of contact with Adam that Chloe was not aware of.
I'm curious to see if that does play out, because I don't see that, but I also didn't see that she had been talking to Ethan for the last few years. So I'm not in any way.
Chloe doesn't seem to be aware that she's been caretaking for Adam's mom.
No, she doesn't know that at all. But Adam doesn't strike me as the type of person to give a shit that his mom needs to be taken care of, because he did not seem to value or have any, not value, but have any positive thoughts of his childhood growing up. So I don't think he cares.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that how much he cares or what his relationship was like with his mother, but I absolutely think that he was in contact with Nikki in some form of collusion about that taking
Or
care of his
maybe
mother.
financial. He was giving her financial support.
Yeah, whether or not they were still messing around, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past this show for it to come out that he had started messing around with Nikki again behind Chloe's back at some point because apparently he was ambivalent about Nikki's success and just like small men everywhere, part of his problem in his marriage with Chloe was that he couldn't handle being the less successful partner. Well,
Yeah,
and Chloe said she did push him about that, but you got to be responsible for your own stuff. And I think that part of the reason that he couldn't be comfortable in her world is because he wasn't as successful as she was and was never going to be as successful as she was. And he resented that.
for sure.
He took advantage of Chloe's conflicted feelings in that flashback where he refused to leave, even though she knew she shouldn't be messing around with him. She gave in and did it. I could see something similar with Nikki. Obviously, she still has some kind of love for the son of a bitch. She was sniffing his clothes enough in those first few episodes.
There
So
was no sniffing this
there
week.
was no sniffing. I was watching.
I'm a
Maybe
little
they've
bummed
heard.
about that.
Well, I would say maybe they've heard, but they already released all the episodes. Yeah. But I think I don't think Chloe is, maybe she's about to be, but I don't think Nikki's being completely honest yet either.
Yeah, there's got to be some big somethings coming for the next episode. So I am very excited to get through this and for
Yes.
us to. And I want to remind you all, Mandy mentioned it a few episodes ago. We sound like we are arguing and hate each other, but we really do love each other. We really do value each other's opinions. But one thing I love about podcasting, and I love especially podcasting with my boo, is that we don't always see things perfectly. I think a good podcast means sometimes you see things differently and you get different perspectives and point of views and whatnot. And Mandy and I have both lived through some experiences in our lives that form our thoughts and opinions on things. I love doing this together with her. So please note, we do love each other. We aren't fighting. We're just, this is just what we do.
We're also both extremely opinionated.
No, there's no way they figured that out.
We're also both also very, very cocky because we're both right most of the time. That makes you just on the very rare occasion we disagree about what right is.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's please know.
It's all good.
All right, so field notes. You mentioned, what is Borat's deal? He meets with the FBI agent, and the FBI agent tells Borat he could use his help. Is Borat the inside man
I
in the
don't
Gentry
know.
group?
I
What is
don't
happening?
understand. And why does everybody know about that damn FBI agent? He's the worst FBI agent in the world.
Right.
Everybody knows him and where he's at and what he's doing. What's going on with Borat? Why is Borat suddenly turning on his partner?
Is he though?
Is he turning on his
Because
partner? We
he
don't
didn't,
know.
they led us to believe he didn't know who this FBI agent was. He had to go see mean receptionist lady, and eventually somebody told him who it is. And so did he just reach out to him and say, I'm on to you, we need to talk? And so now they're meeting, and this is their first interaction with each other, and now something's going to come of it. I need some resolve on why Borat is all of a sudden in on this and why
Yeah.
he's keeping it hush hush from Gidry.
I don't need yet another mystery 5 seconds before episode 7 of 8 ends. Like there's
Yeah.
enough shit going on. That's too much.
I do appreciate it though, because assuming they gave us the whodunit, we need something to pull us through episode 8. So they are continuing to plant a seed. Most television shows, this right here, that ending with Chloe and Nikki would have been the end of the series. So I
Yeah.
do commend them that they have dropped pretty much every episode
That's
something
fine.
heavy. So I'm going to trust them to bring it home.
Like even in this episode, it perfectly sums up where I'm at with this. Like I am not at all shocked that Nikki had major secrets, but I'm also not shocked that we're still throwing out this that it could have been somebody involved in Adam's shady dealings because again, I could totally see a scenario where it's like Nikki thought she killed him, but he was fine. And then right behind her, somebody from this mysterious gentry group came in and finished the job.
All right. So last up, last field note, Gidry and her psyche eval. Well done. I forgot this actress's name, but I love her. I'm not enough to know her name, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
She opens up about how she arrested the wrong guy, but even the wrong guy beat her up. She went after him later. I guess that's who she hit with the phone book. And it sounds like she did more than hit him because she really hurt him. And that's what got him placed in the assisted living facility.
Yeah, I want to make sure I understand that. She told the therapist that she was doing an investigation, thought that the guy Eddie that she goes to visit was the right suspect for that crime. He was not the right suspect for that crime, but he beat the shit out of her
He
anyway.
did run. And yeah, he ran and he beat the crap out
Eddie
of her.
beat her up. And then she, at some point, then, was it the same day or did she go and hunt him down later and hurt him?
I feel like it's one of those, he was in interrogation or in a cell. He'd been arrested.
So it was after he beat her up.
Yes, it was after that. She went back and kind of got her revenge because he says
that's what I thought.
Yeah, when they're talking, he makes a comment about you put me here. You're the reason I'm in this chair. And she's like, yeah, but you beat me first or something like that.
Yeah, that's how I knew that she literally put him there because she had said something about the city paying him out. So that's how he was affording the nursing home. But said he was like, you are the reason I'm in here. And then she did say you beat me up. But what I wanted to make sure I understood correctly is that he was not guilty of the crime she was trying to arrest him for.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And it just was an unfortunate circumstance.
Are they going to try to make this a series? Because I don't know how they can wrap up all of this. Or are they just going to leave some of this unambiguous, I guess? But then it's like, what's the point of that storyline? And all I can think is maybe it's just to further establish that like Gidry understands guilt as a motivator.
Yeah, well, I think some of these stories are just character building to just get you invested in the character that it may not necessarily amount to anything because they're going through their therapy and she's talking about what happened with this guy, and then the therapist is like, well, what do your kids think of her? And she's like, I don't know. And he says that they may never really know you, but you need to find people who do. And then she goes to visit him, cares for him. And so it just might be, like you said, just a way to kind of show us why she is handling this case the way she is.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know,
but I liked it. I liked the acting. I liked therapy. I liked their moment together. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. I think I've said, as usual, everything I need to say. I love the acting. I love the writing. I thought the directing in this episode 7 was spot on. I feel like this show is just, it was a surprise. I don't even know how it's going to end, but I'm super happy with these 2 episodes. These 2 made me want to not stop and keep going and finish episode 8. But what was it you said when we text each other?
I can't remember.
Mutually
assured destruction. Yeah. Yeah. Like Becky and I know that we have to keep each other honest. Like I can't watch because I would be furious if Becky watched and vice versa. But I am also very glad that there's only 8 episodes because I don't know how much longer I could have held out.
Same. I need to know. I've got to know.
I'm glad we're not doing a whodunit for the next show. I need a break from that.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
All right. So, miscalculations. I think I said it at the top of the episode. I was wrong about 95% of everything. So, I'm going to give Mandy just a second to go ahead and tell y'all how great she is.
I would never do that, Becky. I would never try to rub something in to you, my best friend. I would never hold it over your head that I was right about almost every single thing that I've said would happen in this podcast. As a matter of fact, I do want to say, though, the only thing that I'm still holding out on, well, never mind. I'm not going to say that because I'm going to be real. I'm going to be eating a lot of crow if it turns out in the next episode that it wasn't Nikki and that.
Yeah, tread lightly because I have learned from experience that
I'm
this
gonna
shit
shut
can
the fuck up.
backfire quickly.
But I do want to say I was right about the fact that Nikki was more involved than we knew, that she had been talking to Ethan this whole time, that that lady was probably her mom.
Yeah,
Good. Pretty
I
good.
tip my hat to you. I was right last week when I said I'm Nikki and you're Chloe, because you say Chloe can't be honest with herself about her true intentions, and you talking about your humility and how you would never hang anything over my head. So I'm still Nikki and she's still Chloe.
The difference is I knew I was being smart.
All right. So I am anxious to figure out, once we do get to see the finale, if there's any talk of another season or if they're just gonna let this be what it is. So I'll find that out, and we may have some show notes and news next week.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I mean, because the writer did write other books, but I didn't see if those were a series. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they're like recurring characters through a same series or if they're all just standalones. She wrote like 2 or 3 more books. And so now I am curious. And after we watch this last episode, I'm going to go see, were those like extensions of the same world or if they're all just standalones.
All right, so we got a little bit of feedback on this week's episode. Mandy, you want to start us off?
Linda Morrison, our good old pal Linda, told us that she tried to hold out, but she couldn't help herself, and she finished the series. Linda, we don't blame you. I mean, if we weren't doing this, we would have absolutely watched this within a 24-hour period, probably.
100%. She toughed it out.
God love you, Linda. God love you for even trying. Linda says she's still going to listen, and please, girl, let us know your thoughts on how it ended.
I hope everyone that's been listening and has not been sending in feedback because you're worried about spoilers or anything like that, please write in and let us know what you thought about either the season as a whole or just the finale, whatever you want to share. We cannot wait to hear what everybody thinks about it once we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a voicemail from our awesome friend, Steve Brown. And I'm excited to say we have a project in the works for what we're going to cover next before we've got a couple of things we're going to do next before the pick comes back out early next year. And Steve is going to be a part of one of those. And I am super excited. So anyway, but here are Steve's thoughts on episode 6.
Steve.
Hello, Becky and Mandy. This is Steve, and I'm going to try to get this in before you record today, but try to get to episode 6 and 7 sent to you. All right. No, this is Steve. Okay. I'm glad there was a previously on because it's been a little bit since I watched these. So, but wow, that ending line from the kid, I wanted him gone bad. Oh, and now hearing Adam giving his confession about how bad of a father he is, or from his perspective, how bad of a son Ian is. Whoa, Detective Nan, a little aggressive there toward Nikki. Oh, good stop by the lawyer there, stopping Chloe before she said the wrong thing to the cops. Man, nothing these two do is an accident. Yeah, that's right. This defense attorney is pretty good. So, number one, she wants to introduce another suspect, and she's going to paint Adam as the great dad and Nikki as the bad mom. Oh, so here's Chloe coming to get her husband's belongings from his law office, right? And of course, Bill's got to come in and interrupt her. Hopefully she can get that drive without him noticing. What's he wearing? Is he wearing an ascot? Really? Okay, that was cryptic. Weed treatment for Gentry? What are they going to clean up? This is a flashback, right? Because Elizabeth Banks' hair is shorter and the mom is alive. I guess back then, after 5 a.m. or p.m. didn't matter. Just have some wine straight out of the bottle. Hey, this guy Ken still sticks. He's something. There's more there than just another addict. I didn't see the name on the door. What department did Detective Bowen just go and give? I'm assuming he gave her the photograph so she could find Ken. Now Chloe's giving over the drive to. Have we ever figured out what department these guys are with? Are they FBI or what is this guy?
FBI.
Oh, that's what the calendar showed her, that Jake was part of the Gentry group meetings also. Now Jake is making himself a suspect, but the fact that they're not together now that Adam's gone, I don't know. I don't think Jake killed Adam. Okay, so what did they just open up in that they saw the gun at? And now Michelle Saunders, the defense attorney, floats the idea of a plea bargain to Ethan. We'll see what he says. Okay, so what is this band of women that Catherine has just showed up with? And she's assigned them seats in the courtroom. Okay, prosecutor's just making part of the case that how bad of a mom Nikki was. Oh, but his point is she didn't know him. Oh, and now Chloe's admitting that the marriage was strained. Oh, and she's going to paint herself as the abused wife. Is she making herself a suspect here? Oh, no, she's going to paint Jake as a suspect, saying that he knew about the abuse. Oh, there it is, giving him another suspect. He admits to the affair. Oh, and he's taking the fifth, Jake is. Oh, and taking the fifth on the question about did you kill him, that's probably the worst answer of all. Whoa, not guilty, and they came back pretty quick. I mean, that Jake Rodriguez bombshell was big. So they just showed Nikki in the car with the gun, laughing, crying, and now she's back at the house cooking dinner. What? Oh, Ethan thought his mom killed Adam. So, all right, I'm going to send this off and hopefully get episode 7 done before you guys record or while you're recording.
Thank you, Steve. And I want to tell you the thing they opened where they found the gun was Adam's briefcase. I guess it was almost like a go bag that if he needed to run or something like that, he had something there. So thank you for writing in. I love that he brought it to Ascot. Thank you, Steve, you get me.
Yeah. You know the real important thing, Steve.
Yes, for sure. Episode 7 feedback has not come in, so I'm assuming he's still watching, but please still send that in, Steve, and we will play it next week when we do our finale coverage. Thank you, everyone who wrote in and sent feedback. So we have our poll results. What was our poll, Mandy?
Who at this point do you think is the killer? Ethan, Chloe, Nikki, Kevin? We binged it and don't want to say.
That was Penny. She's like, you need to add that suggestion. So I did, and I'm going to let you guess who won that.
We binged it. We don't want to say.
Yes, but guess who got 2 votes? One of which was me, but 2 votes.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
so somebody else out there thinks Kevin is in on it.
He wasn't on this episode at all. That may have just been a diversion so that maybe you forget about him. It could be.
So this week's poll, what do we got, Mandy?
So after we all sit and watch the finale this week, the question that we need to answer is, who do you think is the better sister? Is it Chloe or is it Nikki?
I think we should also do a side poll. Maybe we could save it for next week. Is who do you think is more right in our podcast, Becky or Mandy? So
I feel like we're the only two that are going to vote and it's going to be split 50-50.
But the funny thing is we'll probably vote for each other.
Yeah. It depends on the podcast, truly.
That's a good point. We need to start asking that question for each show we cover.
Who was better this time? I don't know that anybody. I feel like people are out there going, girls, you're both pretty.
Yeah. Oh, I just heard my mom in my head right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you would like to get in touch with us, leave us some feedback or just say hi, you can email us or send us a voice message as an attachment like Steve does to what's on tonight at the number 2 at gmail.com. You can visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode, and you can leave feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. And you can find us on Instagram as well at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2. We would greatly appreciate it if you leave a review, comment, like, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice. The more you talk, the more listeners we get, and we love how our podcast is growing thanks to y'all. So appreciate it. So how about we go and enjoy some weird fish dinner in the Hamptons with the sisters and Ethan, and we can talk about where else listeners can find us, podcast recommendations, TV, movies, or anything else you want to share. Mandy, you're up.
I got nothing, man. Truly, I got nothing this week. It's been a long week. We had a death in my family. My neighbor died yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, it's get the end of our fiscal year at work. So, whew, stressful week for old Mandy. But yeah. Will say I'm excited that next week is Nashville's Pride Parade and
yay!
festival, and I will be going to that on Saturday. So I'm pretty stoked about it. I don't go to a lot of big events. I'm not a big crowd person. I think it's really important if you are an ally to make yourself as visible as you possibly can so that you can, there's a lot that, as we covered the Serenity Prayer earlier, part of functioning in this world today is controlling the things you can't control and having the wisdom to accept the things that you can't. But one of the things that I can control is where I spend my time and money when I have it. And I'm trying to make sure that any opportunity I have to visibly stand up for the marginalized people that are being threatened in this country today, it's important to do that. And aside from that, Pride is awesome. It's so much fun. The best free stuff of any festival I've ever been to. Like really nice t-shirts and fans and like chargers and all kinds of good stuff. So, if for no other reason, you should come out if you like free shit.
America.
Yeah. Come for the free shit. Stay for the three dudes in suits and ties in 110-degree weather standing out there telling you you're going to go to hell.
Yes. Bastards. All right. Well, I want to mention one of Mark's podcast, Panels to Pixels. I brought it up before, but they finally did release their 300th episode. So check out their coverage. It's of the 1980 classic Superman 2, which really took me back to my youth. So congratulations, Mark and Steve, on 300 episodes. Super proud of you guys. The cast of Us, The Walking Dead, Dead City, is finishing up their coverage of season 2, and I am so excited that this coming Monday, I will be guesting with them this week for the season finale. So please check them out. It's Ben and Alex, and they are a hoot. And lastly, our dear Penny and Kara are back and resuming their rewatch of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I am so excited. I have missed their coverage and that watching that show. So please check out Still Slang and other great podcasts on podcastica.com. And we would like to give a big thank you to Mark and Pirate Core Entertainment for giving us this platform. Please visit the Pirate Core website. You can find it on our Facebook page, and there you can find our podcast as well as other podcasts like Panels to Pixels, Adrenaline Cinema, and Dinner for Her with our very own Mandy. Woo! And you can also find some other projects that Mark is working on.
Well, that wraps up our coverage of episodes 6 and 7 of The Better Sister. We will be back next week to cover the finale called They're in Their World.
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Y'all, a lot of people in this country and around the world are suffering. I beg you to please be kind and compassionate to those around you. I'm still Nikki.
And I am definitely not Chloe.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye.
I hope she choked on a bag of dicks.
Emphysema, but close enough.